Andrea San, Director.
Present. Present.
Thank you. Ian McLean, Director.
Present.
Thank you. Michael Milan, Director.
Present.
To comply with the requirement, we have forms, covering one language present, 6 in person, and 1 Zoom platform. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Next item on the agenda is the notice of meeting. The meeting to the unit owners was sent on December the 12th, 2023, and also was posted on RNR, the DI Act, Town Square, and sent in address on December 12th, 2023, and also posted throughout the community. We can validate the requirement. Now we can continue with the president's message.
Good evening, everyone. As the President of the Board of Directors of Doral, I am excited of your participation in this meeting. It is an honor to address all of you as the President of our wonderful community. First and foremost, I want to express my deepest gratitude for the trust you have placed in me to be part of the Board of Directors and to my colleagues for choosing me to lead it. I am aware of the responsibility that comes with this role, and I am committed to working tirelessly for the well-being and prosperity of all of us. For those of you who might not know me yet, allow me to introduce myself briefly. My name is Juan Jose Comas. I have been a resident of Doral since 2003. I was part of the board for 20 months in the year 2019. I have had the pleasure to get to know many of over the years, and my desire to continue contributing to the growth and harmony of our community. I would like to share with you the vision that my colleagues and I have for our community. We envision a place where every resident feels valued and heard, where active participation and collaboration are fundamental pillars of our improvement. In the coming period, we will focus on recovering our reserves, enhancing security, and immediately maintaining our infrastructure with various mechanisms to generate income for the association to improve what we currently have. This will only be possible with the active participation of each of you. Some residents have already contacted us, and together with associates, we have taken their comments and requests into serious consideration. We have addressed several requests with very positive results in these early days of management. In the coming days, committees will be formed in order to help us with proposals and their experience in each field. Our board of directors is very active, and together with our manager, Wanda Preda, we have agreed on a work plan that will greatly assist in hiring and procedures. One of my priorities is to establish transparent and open communication, not only through official channels, but also through public platforms like WhatsApp and Instagram. We will regularly inform you about important decisions, ongoing projects, and other relevant information. Many neighbors ask me to clarify the state in which we found the community, and the truth is that we have encountered several surprises. In those shows, there are unpaid accounts with more than 3 months of delay, such as landscape service in the amount of almost $400,000. Today, we are facing a lawsuit for $120,000 due to a slab repair service that has been unpaid since May of this year. The subsidy to Negroni was not reviewed, and his contract was renewed with an outstanding bill of approximately $42,000. The mulch installation service is pending for more than a year at the cost of $170,000, among other things. Some requests take longer than expected. An example of this is the case of Judah Rescue, who took more than 30 days to provide the required information and acceptable. Sent to our manager Guadalupe to urgently prepare acquiring information, know-how, knowledge of our financial standing. I want to inform you that we will not tolerate deficiencies in service provision during this board tenure. Now let's talk about some of the exciting projects we have planned to improve our community. We are working hard to find a solution to the flooding on our main street and the irrigation pump that have been drawing water from Miami-Dade for some time, causing a high consumption of potable water and significant expenses. We're implementing new procedures to make the security more efficient and reduce our operational costs. We are focusing in our effort on achieving the renewal of the island cloud and the financial mechanisms to make it a reality. We are improving the use of our application to help us achieve the necessary changes in Doral and the update of these files. I look forward to receiving your feedback and suggestions as we progress together in implementing these improvements. Let us remember the importance of maintaining a respectful and harmonious environment. Rules exist to ensure that we can all enjoy our home in the best possible way. I sincerely appreciate your trust and active participation, and of course, I extend my gratitude to my fellow boards, members, and associates. Let's continue working together for better our lives. Thank you again for giving me the opportunity to serve as your president. Together, we will make our community an even more wonderful place. Now, I'd like to invite Judah Eskew to speak.
Hello.
You tried to tell instead of Judah Eskew was the treasurer. Yeah. So listen.
Hello.
Give us a few minutes now, Judah Eskew.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and speak. It won't be for long because I at home I'm having the flu, as I mentioned to Wanda earlier. And good evening, everyone. My name is Dawn. One of the senior accountants at Judah Eskew. I first off want to apologize for the lateness of the most recent financials. We're having a few problems there in terms of staff, and it is as a result, which is no excuse, right? But I'm just telling you the truth and being honest. Is as a result of that why the financials have been late. We have a new partner. I don't know if you have yet met him, Wanda. Brian Corbart. I was hoping that he could be on with us tonight, but he was not able to because he had a prior engagement. Because of all of this transition, we're really hoping that starting 2024, things are going to be better. It is looking better because of the changes that are being made. So once again, I apologize on behalf of Judah Eskew and Associates. In terms of your budget here tonight, when we met at the budget workshop, my understanding was that this was going to be rolled over because you have a new board. I just want to know if that still stands.
We have a very position from the board members here. The treasurer of the board has a great message for the community.
Hello, everybody.
I'm having problems hearing, I think, because the mic sounds very it sounds like me, congested. But yeah, the clarity of the mic.
Everybody hear me? I can probably speak without the microphone.
Oh yeah, I can hear you better than I think Wanda was speaking.
Well, thank you everybody for coming. What I would say is that we are committed from Juan to everybody on the board to be able to give you, as we mentioned in our campaign, very transparent information for what we get, okay? One of the things that I want to make clear to everybody is that giving a message to you guys without having proper information, it wouldn't be on my responsibility, or wouldn't be, who I explained that I was going to be myself to you guys and the board. Part of the issue that we have is that the vendors that we have been, I guess, complacent with the type of work that they've been doing for the community. And it happens that when you do something for many years, you just take it for granted and you keep doing it. So what I have found out is that, from the management standpoint, they request the information. I still don't know why we split the fiduciary responsibility from the management company. And eventually I'm gonna get those answers from the previous board. We haven't called a meeting with the previous board because we wanted to have any type of diagnostic to be able to understand where we're coming from. So that's what we've been working these 30 days. What I have seen so far from the financial standpoint is that we never did a budget for 2023, okay? We never did one based on the actual cost and expenditures of the community. And that on itself is already a wrong procedure or a wrong process just because you're not telling the community the truth of how the money is being spent, okay? So we start from that, I wouldn't say mistake, but from that process that should have been in a different way. That being said, our three most important contracts are all over budget, between 18 and 26%. So we're talking about security, landscaping, and management. The actual cost of those contracts today are between 18 and 26% more than what they have in budget for. Okay, we are committed to sit down with these vendors, not only them, but every single vendor, and renegotiate accordingly to what's happening in the economy. There's no more inflation. There's nothing that is going on as excuse that everybody raises prices. We're gonna look for a decrease in all these contracts, but it takes time, and I ask you please to be patient because I want to relay information to you that is commingled with our actual accounts. The paper might say something, but our accounts might say something different, and that's my concern. Okay, I haven't get to that point yet because Judah SQ hasn't given me financials of November. I don't know how I received the community on November 17th. I haven't been able to say I have 100,000 here, and this is what it shows in the financial statement. So I am committed to get that as soon as possible. So I want to be clear to you that it wasn't that we're rolling over a budget because they made that mistake for 2022 already, or we made that mistake as a community. We're not making the same mistake. It's just that I cannot tell you how much the increase is going to be and how are we providing our reserves in function of keeping our community the way it is and make it better. I can tell you that the contract with the restrooms should have never happened because it wasn't on the budget. The reality of that bathroom was that the initial quote was 312,000. We didn't have the money to spend on that. It ended up being 411,000. What the community heard was that we spent 140,000 in Negroni remodelations. That wasn't the case. We spent a total of 51,000 on Negroni's remodelation. That means that we actually spent roughly $350,000 in that bathroom. And that doesn't include the units of air that were another 40,000. So we did spend that money without budgeting for it, and that takes it out of the reserves. Whether a bathroom is worth $100,000 or not, I'm not here, I'm not a contractor. I'm just looking at the numbers and telling you that that money should have not been spent without a proper administration. So that's what I have found out. Judah SQ obligation hasn't been filled, and I take advantage that they are present to tell them that we're not gonna tolerate because we're paying. We don't tell you, well, wait another 60 days so we can pay you for the services you need to provide. So we're gonna start generating KPIs, procedures and processes that are not in place today. We don't have a cash flow statement. We don't pay our accounts in function of the money that comes in. We're paying our accounts in function of our vendors. So we're financing our operations since 2022 with the money of our vendors, not with our own money. So I'm sorry I don't have the exact number of what our reserves look like, but it's not where you think they are. Okay, I'm waiting for Judah SQ, and I'm committed to tell you that the number that I will provide, hopefully in January, worst case scenario, no longer than February 15, would be the reality of where we are as a community. As Juan Jose mentioned, we're committed to do the best for the community, to renegotiate the contracts, to keep the same services, the same level of projects that we have ongoing because we have a beautiful community, but we're gonna make the vendors fulfill their commitments as they're supposed to. We're gonna put a process in place to be able to say, did you do this? You didn't do this. So there will be a also for them to not pay them how they expect based on a contract. So we need to have special processes in our contracts where we're gonna protect the community and not the vendor. There's a lot of things that I'm looking at financially that really don't make sense. And the one thing I ask you moving forward for the community and for the good of your wealth is please always think of the people that can actually give free time, but can give a vote based on knowledge and do the best for your money. I think that's the biggest mistake that we're making. We cannot do it based because we like somebody. This is a very serious matter. We have a $10 million company that we need to run properly and efficiently. I hope that in January and February, whenever we call this meeting, I can tell you more in terms of our financial situation, the reality, the increase. And the one thing that I'm going to close with that is not what you want to hear, and it's wrong, is that in May of last year, we said that we're going to take the subsidy of Negroni out. That one mentioned, we never took it out. Okay? So we're still subsidizing a company that is great for our community. It reaches a higher standard. I personally love the restaurant, but we're probably going to open an RFP to see if we can bring another provider that can give better or the same service and that can provide the same status to our community, but that is willing to do the business for the good of the community and not for them. We're going to stop that subsidy. We haven't, we're still working on that exact thing of saying, when is it going to stop and how we're going to transition to have a replacement if they're not willing to work without the subsidy. So that's where we stand, and I hope that you guys give us some time to be able to come with more transparency and exact numbers. And please feel free to send me an email, send me a WhatsApp, whatever you need. I'll reply to your answers accordingly. If you need any specifics, we're just trying to tell you where we are so we can tell you where we head. Okay? That's my message.
Can I say something, please? I'm sorry. I do hear you much better than, I guess, without the mic. Just one thing I want to say regarding the budget. Please note that it's the board. Your board is the one who normally does your budget. What we as accountants do, we advise, but they're the ones, ever since they have done the budget, they have come to us with the numbers, and we have accepted, they have adopted their budget, and we have accepted what they give us.
Perfect. In that regard, we need the information that we received as of November 17. You have not provided the statements of November.
Correct.
So this is not we need that documentation to be able to provide the community with the correct information.
And I think you will get November financials in a few days. I will make sure that will be forthcoming, your November financials.
Okay, so I take your apology because we're telling the community and we don't have the information that you should have provided. You knew we had that meeting and that was not provided. So I ask you to please provide that information promptly so you can keep providing services to Doral.
Yeah, I just want to ask one question. When you say that the expenses or the cost of the company,
We haven't finished.
We open for questions or so.
sorry, oh, that's it.
That's because Juan was the one that.
Anything else, Felipe? One? So now we will need to vote. We need to do a motion to adopt the proposed budget for 2024. And then each of the board members can have comments, or like you need to put the motion on the floor. Someone is to second the motion, and then you go to first you put the motion on the floor. A motion to adopt the proposed budget for 2024.
No.
Wanda, is there a quorum?
Motion.
There's a quorum of the board members?
Yes, we have 7 members present.
Okay.
This has to go through.
Para poder abrir
This is a meeting to open the motion. We have to vote against. Motion is not approve and the budget next February of this year, the next year.
So the motion is not to adopt the proposed budget for 2024.
Needs a second, and then,
Second motion?
I second that.
and then open for discussion, and then the vote.
Any discussion?
So now we have to vote for that motion.
First discussion.
First, we're gonna have like some comments from the board members, and then we go to,
Yeah.
Anybody wants to comment? Yeah. The motion was to not vote, not adopt.
not
But
to adopt
it's
the proposed
still
budget.
something that we have to vote on, right?
So Wanda, we'll have a rollover then.
So before we go there yet, we have to vote. for
They
that.
have to vote first.
We have to
The
Okay.
vote.
motion, the
Oh,
motion.
they hadn't voted yet. I couldn't hear. Okay.
All right, so if you allow me a couple of minutes to craft my vote. Is that okay?
Now the floor is open for comment. It's from the board members.
Can I comment?
Absolutely.
All right, so due to what has been expressed, and I don't want to, I really came into this, with all my heart, being blessed to be living in this community. For those who don't know me, Guillermo Planos, and I've met, in a couple of meetings, one-on-ones, a fabulous board that was elected. There is an issue that, standing right now, that I think that I need to make it the implicit explicit. I believe that many of us came in with a little bit of prejudice against what has been done before, how it has been done. And I just want to call your attention that we are not here, none of us are here to get an executive role on Doral Islands. Our each and every one of us seven responsibility, and I'm reminding you of this, and I know you know it, is a fiduciary responsibility for the association members. It's not for us to act on an executive level as the CFO or as CEO of Doral Islands. Regardless of what our roles might convey as directors of the board of directors. So having said that, I do want to, and it's colloquially comical because I think that's what the House of Representatives is going with the budget, right? I mean, if state of Florida has balanced its budget, if the county of Dade has balanced its budget, Doral has balanced its budget, I think that we can do it. I think we have a great team. I have gotten to know this past month, each and every one of you guys. Excellent neighbors, very thoughtful, very committed. So I don't see any harm doing on the effort that we are doing. Okay, I want to put that forth. Yesterday morning, I sent them a message saying, "Hey, I haven't received, a budget." I was under the impression that Judah and Esky produced the budget for us, giving the current run rate. Fortunately, from the previous administration, we have knowledge and we have information that you also have knowledge and you have information that we could put into context for this decision. And what I mean with that is the latest published statement in August, right?
Correct.
August. So we have 8 months of run rate cost of 2023. Now, just to understand, 2023 budget was a rollover of 22 budget, which was produced on 2021 in a meeting very similar to this one, late 2021. So the premises of a budget as a nonprofit, not as a for-profit company, as a nonprofit company, the purpose of the budget is for us to collect on revenues that would be, we spend against income, but we budget against what we're going to be spending, right? And it has to go to zeros. So when we rolled over the exact kind of page of 2022 and 2023 to 2024, we saw that there was 2 lines. So here what I'm trying to put is in layman terms, all right? Not in financial terms, not just in layman terms. You know, you get this this budget over here, you know, those two lines are member assessments and then reserve assessments. Those two lines, you add them together and be divided by the number of the community that we have, which is 1,721. And that's going to be your payment month. All right. So I'm going to join into the camera one, camera two, camera one, camera two. I'm going to join over there, and I'm going to share, if you guys allow me, right? What I did, last night and this morning.
A question, is this something that you discussed previously with the rest of the board?
No. Yes, I did. And I shared it with you. I just didn't populate it. So, and I'll do, this is basically the spreadsheet that I shared with you all, which I asked to be populated. It wasn't populated. So what I'm doing is right now is putting an indicative proxy based on if we get the 2023 August actual expenditure per line. If you get that statement from your DI app, you go to the financial section, you download that statement, you're going to see a balance sheet where there's reserves there, and there's loans to reserves. You'll see a balance sheet, and you'll see something similar to a statement of P&L, or not-for-profit. Not-for-profit, it's basically our budget. It's the same line, the same structure as the budget, but different numbers because it comes with actual and with budget and with variances. So what I did is, in order to produce an indicative budget for 2024, what I did is I either picked from the 2023 budget per line, which we know it's underfunded, or we could get the 8 months of the financial statement actual spend divided by 8, multiplied by 12, and we do with just the 2023 projected run rate expenditure. So we know how much are we going to enter into 2024. All right. So I'm not going to spend line by line, but I hope you can see it. I don't know if you can see it there. All right.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, fantastic. So, couple of things. Let me take this out here. Let's get something, a quick KPI. For every dollar you pay a month, it gives us a purchasing power of $20,000 something dollars, $20,500. All right. Very easy calculation. Every dollar you pay a month to the association gives our management $20,552. Very easy calculation. You get $1 multiplied by 1,721, multiplied by 12. Boom. We just produced $20,000. How's that for a multiplier effect? So what I did is I just went, let's pick, anything that's above $1. See how that impacts, and let's roll it over with the same math of dividing it by 8 and multiplying by 12, right? We save some money in other income, but not in the income side or the revenue side, on the contract side. We know that we are running $17 above in what's general contracts. From bulk internet and that portion until the fountain contracts, we're going $17 above in our expenditures as a run rate. This does not consider that these contracts are annual and some of them are multi-annual. And when they fall into the into 2024, it is when Felipe is mentioning that we're going to have an opportunity to negotiate not only scope, not only KPIs, but also price, right? We don't start new contracts co-termed in the calendar year. That's the problem. We only have 10 months to go, basically, in 2024 to sit and negotiate contracts, Negroni, internet, stuff like that, and see if we could realize some savings or change scope or continue with what we have negotiated multi-annual to continue. So regardless of the term, we have and I'm going to jump just quickly in essence of times, each of these, because the second last line of this budget and also of the financial statements that are posted is basically revenue expenses. So you have a line for revenue income and you have a line of revenue expenses. If they don't match, it's because you're using the money that's coming through from revenue, reserves revenue, from reserve revenue or reserves assessments. You're using that money to spend into operating costs, okay? Not to fund the assessments that you were due to do. So it's coming out of research. Good, exactly. Apologies, I'm trying to oversimplify. Again, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a CPA or a CFA. Okay, I'm just trying to commit to my fiduciary responsibility of speaking in layman terms.
Thank
All right.
Thank you, Guillermo.
Just one last thing. This exercise produces a $500,000 gap. So it equates to $25 a month that we are eating onto reserves. The later that we decide to do this adjustment, regardless if we can do savings or not, it's going to equate to $2 per month more. So if we don't do January, an increase, it's going to add more dollars. It's going to have to be $27. If we do February, it's going to add $29. So I just want to make that in essence of transparency, because this is information that you have, that we have, and it was what's available for us to take a fiduciary responsibility of deciding what to do. So as presented, my vote is we don't approve the budget, or we approve the motion of just discarding this.
The only reason, and out of transparency, is that's and thank you for summarizing to people and taking it to apples to apples what it means on the financial statement. My concern is that what we're showing there and going based on the numbers that you show in a financial statement don't necessarily mean that you have that money in your accounts, my child. So the challenge there, and why I did my introduction the way I did it, is because, and the reason I didn't do this, and I didn't calculate, my math comes out to $42 today. And, I'm sorry that, if Guillermo went into the numbers now, I gotta say my math today runs at $42 just for the expenditures coming up for 2024 increases. However, I haven't matched the reserves and I haven't matched the amounts that we have in our operating accounts and in our reserves. So with the vendors, I haven't seen it. I need to go and look at the accounts, our operating accounts, our real account numbers, and tell you if our reserves are what they say they are. Because you can show reserves in function of how you are exploiting out your money that comes in. And that's the challenge, okay? Because that might not be a reality. Part of everything that you don't have in the budget, for example, Negroni, you pay $15,000. They're not on the budget. So you're taking them out of a budget. So you have a budget today in function of $90,000 a month that go into the reserves. We spent so far, since Guillermo went into the numbers, and this is what I want to do in February, right? But I go into the details of what I know so far, and as you can see, I have them on my head. We spent $1,336,000 on the reserves 2023, out of the reserves. And we provide only 90,000, 900,000. So that alone gave us a $400,000 deficit. Now, in December of 2022 to 2023, we paid close to 900,000 from 2022 to 2023. So you guys gotta honestly let me do the work on the numbers, match up the numbers on the account, so I can tell you how much we actually have in reserves. Because the financial statements show you 1,066,000. They show you 425,000 in special projects, but that doesn't commingle with the reality of how we're spending our money. Because I came in on November 17 and I had to pay $360,000 and I had to pay $135,000 of mulch. That alone was $500,000 that I paid from behind. So we weren't up to date. And that's why I've been so insistent that I need the numbers from November. And I need to match the numbers. So we pay landscaping from September, October, November. The mulch was in the budget at 200,000, but it was in place in May and it was in place in November. So how funny that we pay for the Santa Claus, but we didn't pay for the mulch, which is in your governing document. So let me do the work. There's a lot of details and things that you don't know, but I'm hoping that I can provide you with every detail that you want to hear, but it takes time. I'm spending numerous hours going detail by detail and understanding. I can tell you that our provider for the pool has been with us for 16 years. We pay $9,000 a year for him. I don't know if that's the price or not. I'm going that deep into the numbers. I'm going that small to go and see if that's how much it costs today. So it went up 6% a year for the last 16 years and nobody has sit down with him. That's what I'm doing. So next month and the following month, I'm going to be sitting with each independent provider of Dorals to renegotiate those contracts, to diminish that amount that is not going to be $24. It's going to be way higher than that. To diminish that amount as much as I can to use your resources the best way possible. And I'm sorry to tell you, we're not going to renovate no clubhouse in at least 2 years. We first need to change the irrigation places to keep the community just the way it is. And the promise, I'm not going to keep kicking the can down, whether I'm elected or not next year. I'm going to tell you the reality today. So for us to be up to date December 1st or January 1st or February 1st, this is how much it costs to pay our vendors 30 days. Not 45, not 60, not 90. Because not the way you work with people or with businesses. They're never going to work with you because of that. So I just want to make that clear, and I appreciate, Guillermo, the detailed explanation you gave. But that doesn't mean anything until we don't have, I need to be able to tell you November 17, we received this. And these are the reality of them.
Yeah, we received the numbers of Guillermo, the new numbers today, to what day? Lo que hacemos día. The expense to December.
No, the numbers that I have, and one thing is the financial statements that we have, Judah SQ financially with their fiduciary responsibility up to October 31st. That's what I have in financial statements.
And what you guys have is August.
You have August.
You have August. And we have
August.
What I've been asking
for
September.
Guillermo's number.
So I said I need everything up to date to be able to receive the community. Because I came in on a Monday and on a Tuesday, I had to approve checks for 360,000 one-time payments. And then, I go and look at the mulch, and I'm just saying the facts of what I've seen. The mulch would be $135,000 the last time we did it. This is 2 years ago. This year, if we would have done the same scope, 2,500 bags, 22,500 bags of mulch, it would have cost 135,000. We only did one phase. So we paid the same amount today that was paid 2 years ago. If we would have done the same scope, we haven't paid. We only did one phase in common areas. Okay, but that will be equivalent to pay the exact same amount. That being said, I don't know how we're doing with our vendors, but we definitely do not being efficient because we paid the same amount 2 years ago before the inflation as we did today. So that's the commitment that we are evolving. We didn't take 3 quotes, we took 5. I need to understand what the scope of what I'm putting is, what I'm signing. Is the mulch 1.5, 2? Am I lowering the service of the community? I'm doing all that on each independent item. And that's the only thing I can tell you today. So we're gonna come out, and I'm gonna tell you the reality of our financial, and then Juan Jose and the board are gonna be committed to keep the community at least where we are. And I agree, we need to do everything with the clubhouse and all these other projects, but I hope that when I leave here, at least you have the transparency that we're paying our vendors 30 days, our reserves are what they are, and I'm just not giving you a financial statement that you don't understand, and it's not the reality on your account. Because at the end of the day, it's your money. And that's why I'm here. So that's the bottom line.
Can I jump in here for a minute where the reserves are concerned? For the reserves, as you know, we don't have a reserve schedule on file for you guys. So it's almost like a pooled reserves. Everything is going into capital funds. Excuse me. And then you have that, yes, which you mentioned, $450,000 in special projects. So, excuse me. I would suggest, if you want to dig a little bit more into the reserves, if you can do a reserve schedule and see exactly what your reserve items are, and then you can see what needs to be funded to each of those items. Sorry.
Thank you, Don. Okay, any other comment from the board members?
Just,
It has to be somebody else.
I'd like to add something, as board members, we have to do our best with the community, so we were elected. And, from my concern, I think, Felipe, Jose, and Guillermo are being up on the spot, working with all the vendors, etc. And it's proven that give them the opportunity to revise the number and bring it January.
I said February 15th is the latest, but if I can come out on January 5th, whenever I have clarity, we will call a meeting for you guys to know as soon as possible.
That's what
I don't want to bring down.
Any assumption, and we have less income than expenses, and you're gonna run a business, with deficit. That's not proper. So we have that responsibility, it's a responsibility, and we have to do our best and be clear. As I told them, we have to be clear with the community about what they're doing. Same as Guillermo said today. That's what I have to add.
Thank you, Marcos. Pedro, anything to add? Andrea?
No, I mean, I'll just add, nobody likes to just do a rollover, because that's not it's not real numbers, but the fact is, we do not have accessibility to the real numbers of what, things have been a little late. We have to renegotiate with a lot of the vendors because, like you said too, the inflation 2 years ago, people were charging an arm and a leg for whatever, but now things are a little different. So I think we need to speak to all the vendors, and we need to have a little patience here and just kind of sit and be like, okay, let's give it another month or so, month or two.
Yeah, your starting point's gotta be what you receive or where we are, and that's it. I mean, it's nothing. All I've been saying in this meeting, it's I want you guys to give us the time to get there, not to tell you that we just had a horrible administration, but to tell you like this is where we are and this is where we need to be, and how do we do our things better. But the reality of it is that we're eating our reserves, we're in our money. We don't care about the vendors. We don't have KPIs. We don't have processes. We don't have a cash flow process in place. We just pay as the money come in and come out. And so then when you ask,
No cash flow.
the reality is that, one, not everybody try to do the thing, but we also need to evaluate our team, right? We need to evaluate who's doing what in the community and who's managing, who's running financials, who's running reports. Unfortunately, and thank you for bringing that up, Guillermo. I'm not trying to run this as a company. I'm just trying to establish processes in place so where whenever somebody really want to give to the community, they can give properly, and then we can vote accordingly to know what they're doing, right? Because unfortunately, if you're going based on a vote of 7 people, and I'm sorry, but you gotta choose wisely of who are those people, because you cannot have somebody that just likes to do, whatever. A chef, you cannot get a chef here because it is very delicate, and their contracts are very big, and the responsibility to keep our community. If you don't address it now, our houses are not going to be worth anything. People are here fighting about a clubhouse that needs to look better. It's 20 years old. Of course, we've been draining our money for 20 years. So why don't we try to establish good processes first, and then we can get creative. And that's the bottom line. I'm working very hard and I appreciate the help of one and the community. They're providing the information as they get it. And a part of what we're trying to do is get the vendors what our expectation is, so that way we're clear on how much we pay and what we pay it for. So that's the condition.
Thank you. Anything else, Juan?
Juan, can you open it to the public for comments now that you guys have discussed?
The next.
Well, no, she's wanting them to vote.
Before the vote.
No, she's wanting.
I just asked, with all due respect, I just addressed the president of the board. If he has anything else to say, if not, we're gonna open the floor to the residents and then we go to the vote.
Yes, the floor is open. So,
Yes. My personal opinion, well, Guillermo Muti from Captiva. My personal opinion, first and all, is that I think you're doing the right. You are new administration. All of you are new on the board. And that is not only a complete change on the board members, but there is also a complete change in the economic situation of the country. We're coming from a high inflation into a low inflation, even probably into a recession area. So I personally think you are doing the right by postponing the decision on the new budget. But I have a question for Felipe. When you say that some of the projects, I understood the biggest one, security, landscaping, when 18 or 20 over budget, are you talking about that the contract were physically signed with such increases, knowing that they were with such percentages above the budget? Or is it the consequence of extras, additionals that came later that at the end ended paying so much higher than the budget? I don't know, do you understand my question?
Yeah, I understand your question. No, basically, the issue is that the reality of our budget today is that 2021 roll over into 2022, and as you mentioned, on an inflation period. And my concern that I haven't get the history behind that year is that the increase on what we extra paid when we started, because I don't know the exact date when we increased that amount, because we increased it, right? The problem is that whenever they increased it, they didn't look exactly what the budget should have been for 2023.
I understand, but those increases were the consequences of new contracts signed with that new amount? Or what are the consequences of increases that the providers just issue? And
it's a combination of the things like, let's say, the security, they stole 2 cars. So we make decisions, right, to increase the security, and that requires for you to spend more money, of course. But not only that, that's what I can tell you on one end. The other end was that it was never budgeted properly from the get-go of the actual cost of the item per month or per year. So we were already in deficit prior to having the concerns to overspend in that sense.
I just made the comment because it is quite different when you are administrating an account to know if the expenses or the extra expenses come from something that I approve or from something that the vendor required for me.
No, both ends. It was approved from because you approved the contracts, right? That's why I'm coming in, and if a contract is signed for 5 years and it has a 3% increase every year, I gotta pay it, unless I'm willing to take that vendor out. But I gotta take into consideration the cancellation.
That's inside the contract. So it is inside the contract. It's not outside the contract. That's why my question.
Yes, sir.
It is expenses inside the contract.
It's a combination of both. At minimum, we're at 18% inside the contract under budget to pay those.
Aumentó el valor del contrato, se hizo para este año, por lo tanto está en déficit. No.
Entonces, los aumentos estaban ya dentro del contrato. El error no fue que se le aprobaron nuevas cosas, el error fue que no se hizo el presupuesto.
Okay. Y en algunos gastos, para ser, o sea, para ser fair con lo que hemos también podido ver de las administraciones pasadas, lo que estaba en el presupuesto a veces no se gastaba en esa partida. Es decir, por ejemplo, en el caso del mulch, también nos enteramos de que bueno, el año pasado no se puso la etapa del mulch.
El año pasado sí.
Desde el punto de vista del 2024.
2022 se hizo una corrección y 2023 no se había hecho.
Pero bueno, estamos hablando del presupuesto del 2023.
Exacto. Y es lo que este año
O sea, cuando a mí me presentan un presupuesto de 2024, yo tengo que ver este presupuesto desde el punto de vista de diciembre 31 del 2024.
Guillermo, can you go to English?
Go to
We have
English.
non-Spanish.
Yeah, we have no Spanish people.
Hello, can you hear me?
That was it.
That's it? All right. Yes. Yeah, no. The question was regarding the contracts and they had multi-annual increases and if it wasn't not in the budget or because it was a rollover, et cetera. And the issue is that to be fair with, what we have discovered specifically on the mob situation, we exercise, prudence, a lot of prudence. We asked for 5. That was the gentleman that is in the other board member that Jorge Mejia, who's he made a fantastic approach to putting apples to apples, Excel, et cetera, of 5 vendors. I give this background because we executed and then we realized that there was in this 2023, which is the budget that we are exercising right now. It's not the 2024 budget, it's a 2023 budget, right? That the previous board members, which some of them are present here, exercised. So they did not spend on mulch in 2023. They did not, that line item was not used for mulch. What they did was, they explained to us that there were some parts of areas that they let the grass grow or planted grass, which is a little bit more expensive than mulch, but allows us to reduce the surface area of remulching, the same areas and eroding, etc. That's a complex situation. Again, as Felipe said, it's not for us to become experts on everything and every technical thing that the pump, broke. So that was my situation. But just to propose, when I see the budget, we have to see the budget from the standpoint of December 31st of 2024, because it's a full year that we have to live with for that budget.
Okay, Sandra, please.
Just a couple comments. First of all, Jorge, your explanation was exceptional and. Well, Jorge and Felipe, and I would love to get your email so I can send you some of the information I do have from previous boards. So you encountered that when you took office, there were almost 3 months of past due invoices. You walked in and you had to sign checks, 300,000 plus. You didn't have financials. And I won't go into the details because if it's a potential lawsuit coming our way, we know that you guys are going to be addressing it with the attorneys of 120,000 potentially there. But you also encounter like a lot of lack of documentation and information. My question to you, Jorge, is you mentioned that you have not had access to all the information. Have you now been given access, like your passwords and everything else, so that you can have access to the accounts? Because that's the first thing. I mean, you've had it now going a month and a half. There's no reason why you as the treasurer, can't from the bank get your passwords updated, and management should be able to do it.
I haven't been able to get that access.
Is that management, Associa, or is that Judah's responsibility?
Judah's responsibility.
To give you the password.
So I have access to accounts payable, accounts receivable, which is just a query report that you can generate in a website, right?
Right.
That doesn't tell me the story unless I see the account and that the in and outs are the same thing, because I can type anything onto that software. Part of the
But
issue.
what information are you waiting for from Judah that you have not gotten? Can you let me know, please?
Emails, and I will get one to get that information.
Right.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep my comments because I don't want to go into the weeds of every.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen, we know about mulch, how deep is it are you gonna clean the beds? Are you gonna weed it out first? Because I reached out to Juan, I said, I'm hoping you're not mulching the perimeter because quite frankly, the landscaping there is so deficient and there's garbage and weeds that, why would we be putting, as one woman said, lipstick on the pig? So let's not do that. So I really applaud the board for looking at all of the contracts, but I'm gonna say, and with all due respect to the ladies that are here, you also need to look at our management contract. And I know it's very important right now because you're working hand in hand. Otherwise, you came into the dark and you're going to have even less information if you wouldn't have Associa with you. But someone is managing these contracts. And it's not a board member who should be doing it. It's the management company that needs to be doing it. So it's not me. I don't have to get on a golf cart and go around taking pictures. We all contribute because we all live here. But I've been on your side on three different times, 4 if you count Community Residents Association before a board even existed. So with all due respect to the chef or homeowner or housewife, I am a housewife. I don't have a master's or a finance bachelor's degree, but I have common sense. And with that common sense, I worked as a team, incorporating a city, delivering from Lennar, taking over, the management of Doral Isles, working on purchasing the club, negotiating loans. So what we want are individuals who will be transparent, which is what you guys as a team promised you would do. I have since November 26 requested documents from management that to date I don't have. I've been asking for copies of contracts, things that have given to you. I don't have it. And then I send very nice emails and I copy the world. I still don't have it. The mulch contract that you guys entered into, I'm sure was a bit of an emergency, I think. But we didn't know that there was an RFP that went out or when the bids were going to be open or when the board took the vote on the mulch. Now, hopefully it'll be ratified at the next regular board meeting, but that's like a really bad habit from even previous boards that they would meet privately, make the decisions because management tells you it's okay. And then you guys come to a full notice board meeting, but the decision's already been made. There's not even worth discussing it. I appreciate all of you. I think the world of Juan. I supported you in the past. I support you now. So please take my comments from a place of like wholesome, best interest of our community. I don't look forward to raising the fees. I remember when they were $324 or $388 and then $2 something and now, 448 and now we're looking at close to $500. I work in finance and mortgages. You guys don't know what a difference in a $25 association fee and then coupled by the association dues from the captivas can make or break a transaction. So I trust that you guys are going to do what's right and you're going to look at every alternative. If you're going to raise it, you're going to raise it because I know you have no choice. And I really applaud what you said, Felipe. Now, you had a different nameplate in front of you.
Yeah, I know, I realized.
My last one is, I don't support us moving forward with new projects when we don't have our house in order, okay? When you can supply infrastructure, security, landscaping, et cetera, then I think we need to look at, the improvements and figure out how we can finance them. And I also want to emphasize to all of you that there's more than just Judah that's responsible for what is happening and why we're sitting in with this deficit here today, all right? And again, if security is over budget, if landscaping is over budget, it also has a lot to do with the management of how these contracts have been managed. And when I sat on the city council as vice mayor, I would turn to my city manager and say, Madam Manager, you're responsible for making sure that all these work. I don't have to go to the security company and call them out. I have to talk directly to my management company because they're responsible. And if they don't work, you know what? Move on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I agree with you, Felipe, when you say that it doesn't make sense that you guys or the board doesn't have information up to date. Back in 2019, there were several options, more modern, that are used by other companies, other associations that can give information up to date. So we're 2023, it doesn't make sense that the board doesn't have the information from November. If you do an RFP now for the system, there's a lot of systems, maybe companies that can provide you maybe more competitive costs with a better service, no? Even with artificial intelligence and all that, but I don't know. But I am sure, because this is like a small company, it's only a $3 million budget. So there are a lot of systems that can support all the transactions. So my kind of recommendation, review that because it's clear. Second, I know that there are a lot of obligations that the association has. One of them is that the main objective of the board is to keep the value of our properties high. Sandra is right. I also work in real estate. If you raise too much the maintenance fee, the value of the properties go down. There are several associations in Boca that are $2,000 fees, and the value of the property are 30% or 40% lower than Doral is. So it's very important. But it's, at the same time, the expectations of this community are high. And also, I recommend especially review the reserves study, because you will see there the map of everything that needs to be updated for the association. Okay, so it will give you a guide of what you can do. Because you didn't mention that, maybe you were working on that, but that's very important. Also, you have a lot of neighbors that can support you. Not only the past members of the board, Sandra and other board members can give you guidance on what you are telling us you don't know. And the last thing is that if you decide, you need to decide something, because you cannot send a negative motion, not to adopt. You need to adopt a budget, because the association needs to send the fee for January. No, that's what the administration has to do.
If we don't adopt, Enrique, the 448 will continue until we adopt. What I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah, you're going
No, I don't need to know. We don't approve the budget.
Since there's no budget to approve, you continue paying 448. Because if we approve anything, even if we approve,
I don't want to pay double. I don't want to bring double
Exactly.
the slips, and that's what I'm trying to do. Not keep wasting money.
okay. If it's like that, it's legally like that.
And Enrique, by the way, what you mentioned on the reserves, of the study of your reserves, and it's great that, and I appreciate that you're here, because for what I understand, and I've only been in the community for 2 years, my real concern is that when you live in this community and you're part of the board and you've seen these studies, and they said that you need to have $2.5 million in reserves, why we don't have $2.5 million to be able to spend the money, even when you're being a member. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. But I'm going to tell you right now, we are in a deficit, not even close to make the reserves that we need to be able to just replace the expenditure life of the equipments that we have. So thank you for the insight. But if you're part of this board again, or you're part of the committees, Enrique, make sure that those suggestions is how you apply and you execute when you're here. Because that's my concern. I mean, you were president, and I don't know where your reserves were at that point, right?
Just to clarify, I was in 2013, and they were high reserve. Okay. The following years, they depleted the reserves, and I was against that. I was fighting against that all the time. And even in 2019, the finance committee told the board that there was a deficit of 3.5 million on the reserves, only based on the reserve study. And the board decided to close the finance committee. Juan Gomez is witness of that because he voted for that. So I know the fiduciary responsibility of the board. So that's why it's very important that update the reserve study. It will give you a guide. I am sure that you will see clearly every detail that needs to be updated for this committee.
Yeah, that's what we're working on, Enrique. So that's why, the more that we evolve without knowing who we are, it's really pointless to keep going back and forth over something that we haven't even received clarity on the account. So as I explained twice already, that's where we are, and that's what we're committed to change.
Okay. Thank you, Enrique. Wally, please.
Wally from Antigua. Sorry, I'm going to stumble a little bit, but we only can go with information that's been given to us. So on the last board meeting, we were told there's an over budget of 125,000. You added security, 24/7 monitoring, Doral police, and insurance increased premium. Okay. We were told the reserve is 1.6, now it's 1.2, based on what you just mentioned. We were told that there's a collection past due.
What is
This was a meeting from
August 30th.
August 30th.
Yes, presidential report.
Okay, that was okay.
Everybody has that. Only can go is information being given. So what Alexander is saying is correct. We need to receive information to make some, at least to follow you.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just going by this. So we have a collection of 264,000 past due. You just mentioned we have like 300,000 in late payments, roughly. 300,000 K, roughly. I wonder why. That's the question, why we are past due on payments. So we need to discover that. I can understand you need some time to look. That's from the presidential report. That's public.
O sea, Martín Rodal, los números que dice que estamos, que debemos nosotros o que tenemos que cobrar. No, son cuentas por pagar.
Cuentas por pagar.
Por pagar.
Cuenta por cobrar.
Por cobrar, ya, perfecto.
You're going based. I'm sorry, Wally. I'm just having a wrong. I haven't been able to hear you.
The presidential report, you have that, right? No, este no, este me lo mandó, no se retiró, no se fue, lo vimos, correcto, por eso, mismo algo. That's why we can start with what we did. Esto es lo que tenemos. Right. Fueron por la larga no se está a favor. Ok, Ismael la reunión para. Okay, very good. So the collection of 260 collection.
$200,000.
$264,000 in collection.
¿A cuánto tiempo?
I have no idea. That's what we did.
Tampoco te podemos decir cuál es, por qué.
No, we don't know. At this point, you guys really blind.
Okay.
Hay financial ratios de que puedes sacar, how many days
No.
that collection that.
So let's see. Let's hear what Wally has
So
to
let me
say.
tell you what I'm going to be taking you guys. So the past board did a budget. With a budget that they were recommending a $40 monthly increase. That's what their recommendation. My question to you guys, did Felipe, you guys, Guillermo, I appreciate what you did. I mean, that's kind of value analysis, the perspective. Felipe, you have to dig in. You guys did spend some time reviewing that previous budget to have a sense?
Sí, hace sentido el número.
Okay. Number one, thank you for the answer. Appreciate that. Number two, you mentioned that we have like an increase of 16 and 20% on some of the high ticket items.
No, lo que hay una variación del budget con lo que se está gastando en cada contrato.
That's about like
Un 18 y un 26% dependiendo del contrato.
that's roughly about 400,000 to 450,000 more.
$900,000.
There we go. So you expect by renegotiating the contracts, you will be able to cut out that much from the budget?
No.
You don't expect that, right?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No a ese nivel. Esperamos bajar algo,
Correct. I just want
porque
to
como dice Enrique, tampoco queremos subir la cuota a un nivel de que sea complicado, por ejemplo, al momento de evaluar un crédito para comprar una propiedad, la gente lo va a comprar o se le valoriza la propiedad.
I just want to have a sense of reality what I'm listening for clarity. When I listen to what Guillermo says, there is a perception that there's going to be some certain increase.
Sí.
Maybe be 40 or may not be 40, we don't know. But I listened to Felipe, he wants to dig in and try to find opportunities for savings. I believe you guys have to work together, put all your head together, and try to accelerate this process. Because every month we wait, we're spending 100 and something thousand out of the reserve.
I think that's
So that's why I'm trying to ask you guys to work a little bit faster on this.
Lo que pasa, Wally, es que como comentó Felipe al principio, los números se pidieron a través de management a ayuda ESQ el día 1. Y recién hoy día, porque Wanda trabajó extra, nos llegaron los números que se han gastado a la fecha, ¿no, Wanda? A 15 de diciembre. No porque ayuda ESQ lo haya mandado.
That's okay.
Entonces, por lo tanto, no era factible decirle a la comunidad, porque sabemos. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
You've got a lot of people who don't speak Spanish.
We request the numbers to use through manager to use the SQ to get the financial. And the numbers, some numbers arrived yesterday and some numbers arrived through Wanda because Wanda works.
Pedro,
We cannot.
I totally agree with you 100%. I know you have a challenge. I'm not asking for reason. I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
So what is your question?
My question to you guys, I think at the end of the day, the expectation of all this is that there's going to be a price increase.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to leave with that sensation.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't want to come back and say, I think.
No, yes.
So the feeling I'm having, and I just want to have for clarity, that we're going to have a price increase. It's going to be 40, 50, because you did good analysis. Like, for every dollar, you have 20,000 more on the
We're
budget.
not talking about speculation. We have a question. There's no point in saying it might be.
No, he's just clarifying.
I'm not saying it's going to be 40, 45, 55, 56, 65. We're talking about $1 more, $1 less, $2 more. But the sensation, the expectation I want to give out, I know you're going to do big effort, Felipe.
I just don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you.
I know, but I don't want
he
you to
raises a
get defenses.
He raises a good point, and I think that the point is that we are also committed to take decisions with prudence.
Okay.
If we don't have the whole
One thing
information,
I'm going to tell you that in order for me to tell you
Felipe.
anything.
Let me Guillermo just make sure you have the point.
I think that what he's saying is that if we're giving the indication that it's going on, we also have a commitment to be prudent in our decisions. We won't have the full information to take the precise and exact and accurate decisions, and it's normal because we're layman people. We are all neighbors here. We got to take decisions with care and prudence. That's the only thing that the 617 statute commands as a nonprofit for us. Okay. So would it be prudent to pass another resolution to increase right now?
No.
Something, or to keep this? That is his question. That's what I'm saying.
We will
Keep
see
things as it is until we can give you a clear
until
picture.
we can give you the right number. That's
Correct,
it.
but don't delay too much.
No.
If you make a mistake by $10 or $12, make no difference.
No.
Honestly, makes no difference.
No, make no
does
difference.
make 25.
Wally,
Listen, the money, I'm not, wait, let me finish. Felipe, let me finish.
Okay.
The money is going to reserve.
Exactly.
The money's not going anywhere.
Exactly.
It's not going to the reserve.
Has it been going to the reserve and people have spent it wisely? No.
That's a different thing.
If we overshoot, the money goes to reserve.
I appreciate you, the explanation you give. Listen to what you just said, Wally. You said, for every dollar you give us, we have $20,000 in expenditures.
500.
And thank you, okay?
Correct.
And now you're saying $10 is nothing. $10
And
is
now,
a lot of money.
listen what I'm saying, I'm gonna repeat again to you. If it happens to be $10 more, it's not like the money is going to waste. It's going to my reserve that you can readjust it later.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
The sooner we take that
make a
decision. Exactly.
That's what I'm asking you, the sooner.
Okay.
I think that's the benefit.
I am.
That's the only thing I want to leave with that.
That's perfect, thank you. We're gonna make a decision having the information. I'm not gonna make any decisions I'm a numbers guy, I'm sorry, Wally. So once I have the clear numbers, that's how I evolve and how I operate in my life, right? So, and I'm doing that, and that's my responsibility, and that's what I said from the beginning. So I get your comment, I appreciate it. I am gonna do it as soon as possible, knowing that the decision that I'm making, I'm 100% clear that I have clarity of the accounts and what I'm saying to you. I'm not gonna do it based on.
Correct.
That is totally. I'm giving you that window to give yourself, relieve that pressure a little bit. Because the longer you wait, we're eating 100,000. I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, the projection right now, like Felipe mentioned, is like in January, no later than
February 15, that's what I said from the beginning.
so it's 45 days, the latest.
It's what we're both 45 days.
And the reason why I'm suggesting and the motion was not to approve is because I don't want to print double of whatever it is. Do I know exactly what it is? No, I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is. Well, yes, there is a sense that there will be an increase, but I gotta review everything.
And the second thing I want to add, the next time you guys do another project like you did with the mulch and that thing that was perfect, you guys find the saving, make sure we have a little bit of openness on that. Understand a little bit what the numbers were, what's the value was there, the scope, so everybody can see that and we can support you guys.
Absolutely.
I have Councilman Jose in person, I talked to him and he gave me some clarity to that and I really appreciate that. But it's only me, I've been, but just with my curiosity and understanding, so I can support you guys better, that's for sure. But next time, please, maybe you, like Tandra said, just disclose it. We make a table, we show number A, B, C, D, but you don't need to get the supplier names. Just show it.
I'm committed to do it however you better feel with us. We're open to whatever the channel communication that would work for the community. That being said, while we're also working on the app, we're working on all these things. We don't even have proprietary rights over our own data. And that's a challenge for our community. So you have a company that owns your data because they own the software. And nobody in this board in many, many years, which I don't know, I just question that. I'm like, why don't we have proprietary rights over our own data? We need to start there. So I can be as transparent as that to be able to have the history. I don't even have it. You see what I'm saying? Like if there's a deficit from 2022, go all the way back and see who has it.
I mean, I understand that. Fair enough. You guys have a 22 budget from a 23 from a 22. That's fine. So thank you very much for that.
Wanda, can I say something before I jump off here? What's the name of the treasurer again? I didn't get his name.
Andres Felipe Arevalo.
Andres?
Felipe Arevalo.
Oh, Felipe. Judah SQ has an online portal that all board members has access to or can get access to. You can go online at any time. There is the general ledger that has all the details of your spending, all the expenses. I know I have one financial left for you, but you have everything from January or even prior to this year. You can go on, you can look at each of the expenses. I heard you talking about security, and I'm just going to use that as an example. Your budget for security is $129,000 per month. You're running over $171,000. So that's what it comes down to. And we have been getting invoices, monthly invoices, 2 months later. And so if you look at the accruals, you can see where I have been accruing for security each month. So everything is online. Everything is transparent. You can go online. If you do not have access, then of course, Wanda will talk to us and give you, since you're the new board. But I'm sure you have already. If you don't, please let me know. So you can see everything that has been done so far. And I will make sure you get your November financials by the end of this week.
Thank you, Don.
So the way I understand this operates, and thank you, Don, I don't want to make this a public discussion. Bottom line is I'm coming in as a treasurer. I understand the information is there, but I'm not comfortable with the software. What I expect from my vendor is that I have a meeting with either Don or whoever is in charge of your software, and whether that is, I apologize if it's the way I have asked for the information hasn't been the way you expected it to be, but the bottom line is that I'm expecting to receive something. I know what I got, right? And how the invoices get loaded up into your software, how can I pull up a report, if I have to do that on my own, or I can request management, can I please have the financial statements as of November? That's what I've done, because I wanted to have the exact November 17th of what I received, and I was hoping that in this meeting I had a report for you guys and say, this is what I received, and I could go item by item instead of going back and forth speculation, but on the actual facts and tell you, this is the account, this is what says in the financial statement. That was my goal. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do is tomorrow, I'll send you an email. You tell me what's your best time, if you're sick or not sick, or when is the best way that I could speak with you. And maybe I can ask all the questions and address the issues and see if we can move forward. How's that sound?
Yeah, that question was asked by Wanda because I'm Carol, one of our partners, and we did respond that unfortunately because it was budget season and we were busy, whatever, but we're open to have a meeting with not only you, the whole board. Also, in addition to that, if we have to train you on how the system works, then we have someone who can do that. We are always open to give you, whatever service you need. So yes, we can go through the
financial statements for November that are late already.
I already said that, and I apologize for that. And I told you that I will make sure you get the financials by the end of this week.
Let's start there. Thank you very much for your help.
Thank you so much. So you guys, Wanda will let me know what you guys decide tonight, okay?
Thank you, Don.
Thank you so much, and yeah, have a rest. A good night.
You and that. Let's wait. Yes, that question.
Okay. Well, I agree with all of you about the budget. If you don't want to take the rollover of this budget, take your time, 45 days, and do the best for the community. I am sure that you're gonna do it. About the system, we have a system. We put on in the board, the previous board, we approved like 2 years ago or 3 years, like a system for all the information about the invoices, the discussion have in a cloud. I don't remember the name of the software. That was a tool to have everything together, concentrate, and when you change the board, you don't lose all the information at the previous. That was the idea. Have everything on the cloud, and
that's what they're trying to do, is to consolidate everything in the app, to eliminate all the different systems. That's what the previous board decided. Now we are discussing it with the new board to see how they're gonna proceed.
Okay. Yes, of course. Okay, let's proceed with the president.
This is one key point, the information. Honestly, I don't understand why you don't have or you don't receive the full information. We are in December. Before the big control, they can review. Why not? This is key point. Nobody can do make good administration if the information going on bad. But here's the suggestion of the friend. Long time ago, put in there, nothing happened. I don't know. Realistic. Okay, I prefer speaking Spanish one point.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sí, sentiste libre de hablar en puedes preguntar en español y no hay problema.
Sí. Algo que quiero que se lleve en cuenta es que nosotros tenemos un cierre de balances, creo que era julio o agosto, el cierre del balance contable nuestro, no es 31 de diciembre.
No, creo que es calendario. Es calendario.
Perdón.
Ya es calendario.
El
La
calendario.
asociación va calendario, los contratos van diferentes o terminados, pero
Pensando, porque ¿cuál era la fecha de cierre del balance contable de Doral Lives? El cierre anual. ¿Se sabe? ¿Alguien sabe esa información?
yeah, it's a calendar year.
Entonces, nosotros tenemos que tener una fecha de elección próxima a la fecha del cierre. La elección debería estar
próximo a la fecha del cierre. El nuevo board no puede empezar con una responsabilidad heredada para un cierre de balance. Y de preferencia los contratos deberíamos tratar de ir ajustándolos, sé que es un poco difícil, a la fecha de asunción del nuevo board, 2 o 3 meses, porque si no, hacemos la elección en un momento, pero los principales contratos que tienen todas las grandes se vencen cuando ya está terminando el periodo del board. Sí, los principales por lo menos. ¿Sí?
One of the options that, and again, like this has evolved into so many things that you have to forward, but the other option that we're gonna have, and it could happen, is that if we find out that we're really in a worse situation than what we think we are, we can always generate a budget for 2025 for the next board to operate it, right? And that I can come up, I don't know, in May, let's say, and I can say, guys, this is where we are. This is what I propose for 2025 to be able to do. So that way we don't, we don't run into what we're running now, right? So we could, you see what I'm saying? We can propose that budget for it to take place starting on that fiscal year, January 1st, 2025. You see what I'm saying? So that's something that we're also evaluating to, but I didn't want to come here and say, and again, I didn't want to come and say, here's 40, and then by the way, for 2025, it's another 40. Yeah. Right? I mean, so that's the goal, to be able to say that, because anything that we mentioned on February 15, by the way, that maybe we haven't mentioned is that it's going to be retroactive to January 1st, right? Yep. So I can split it for the rest of the year, or I can charge it in February for January, but it's going to be for the fiscal year. And that's why I'm in an urgency to make it happen and put it in place, because then it also creates a challenge for us to collect that money, right? Backwards, because you cannot do a special assessment just out of the blue. You just got to do it based on the monthly fees, right? Otherwise, you need 75% of the community to approve.
Okay, motion on the floor not to adopt the proposed budget for 2024. Felipe seconded the motion. Motion was done by Juan Comas, president. Now we go to the floor. Juan.
No.
Now you ask each member.
You vote yes. You vote yes. Not adopt. Vote yes. Yes. Sorry.
Okay, and now you see this one each member.
No, let's make it. It's just yes or no.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a double
to adopt.
The motion's already made.
So just to be clear, when we say yes, we are saying you're not adopting.
Okay.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion. Yes to the motion, I think I already.
Yes to the motion.
Guillermo?
Yes to the motion.
Motion passed.
George. Flip it.
¿Es Jorge?
I think.
Did anyone raise their hand from the? Motion passes.
Motion. Jorge, yes to the motion.
Yes, he said yes to the motion.
Yes.
Motion passed. All board members voted in favor.
Right.
Second that. Thank you, meeting adjourned.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for
Thank you, everybody.
Gracias.